Okay, you guys, you have come at me with so many spinning wheel questions. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to give you a brief tour. This is my newest spinning wheel. I believe this is my fourth or fifth spinning wheel. Don't judge me. So this is the Ashford Kiwi 3. We'll start at the bottom. That's a little picture of a kiwi. This is a double treadle spinning wheel. So my feet go here. That's when you see me moving my feet. That's what I'm doing. I'm, 1 foot on each of those. I'm trying to hold the phone and do this. So my feet make these little pedals go up and down. And then down here is where I store an empty bobbin. That's what it looks like before I put any fleece on it. And then over there is a bobbin with a little bit of fleece on it. So when I was plying the other day, yesterday, I had a full spool here and a full spool there. And I was pulling those two strings up and I was running them into this black hole right here. And it was spinning into yarn up there. So what I'm going to do, because I know a lot of you are super novices at spinning, and probably aside from movies, this is the only time you've seen it, I'm going to show you what it looks like to put this baby together and get it working. Lord, I hope this is interesting to somebody. So when I start off spinning, this is what I do. I take an empty bobbin from down there where it's resting. Please keep in mind, I am doing this one-handed. And I take, take my flyer off. See, it comes off just like that. This little, wait, I gotta locate everything here. This video is crap, but I hope you get the idea. This little round thing goes on the end there. Ah, God, I need another hand. Okay. I'm going to do this under my arm. Hang on. This goes like this. Then the bobbin, like a virgin, I can't get it in the hole. Goes like that. Oh my God, this is probably making you totally dizzy. I'm so sorry. So it goes on like that, right? When I'm spinning, it's laying flat like that. When I'm putting it all together, it goes like that. And now I have to put this other little whirl on top. The whirl goes on top. That's what it looks like when it all gets put together. Then I put that side into the hole there. And this side rest on a little resty thing. Yeah. Okay, you guys, this is a mess. I'm trying to do this one-handed. My whirl is not all the way on. Oh, Lord, I hope I don't have to edit this video. Hang on. Okay, my whirl was not on good. The whirl goes on. And then the other end steps down into there. I want to make sure that that hole is past this little holder thing. So to thread it, this yarn is a guide yarn. The guide yarn goes through a hole on the flyer. Okay. You would think I would have planned this out better. I did not plan it at all, as you can tell, as is my custom. Goes through the flyer, goes through the little hook on the flyer here, then goes down through that hole here on the side. And there's a hook. This is called that hole here on the side is called an orifice. The one I just knocked the thread out of. I put my piece of thread in that hole. Then I take my orifice hook. See how it's got like a little hook there on the end? And I snag it. I've never done this one-handed while holding a camera, as you can probably tell. And for the record, Jesus. Okay, I'm just going to put the phone down and thread the orifice hook. Hang on. Okay, you can see. Now you pull it through. Take the hook off. Then I put my orifice hook back in its little resting place. And you would think I would be done, but I'm not. Because I need to put on the brake band. So the brake band is a piece of string, in my case, cotton string. The brake band, it's a piece of white string, so you really can't even see it very well. It goes over this part of the bobbin. Let me loosen it so it goes easier. This is like the clumsiest video in the world. Okay, that string goes over this part of the bobbin, down through that hook, and over here to the Scotch tension. That makes your wheel go faster or slower. That makes the whirl, that makes the flyer go faster or slower. And then the last piece of the puzzle is this band. This band goes over the whirl. I 100% will not be able to do this left-handed. One-handed. But it goes down on the wheel. Oh my gosh. Oh, I did do it one-handed. All the way around the bottom of the wheel. So that band goes from the top here all the way down, fits into the grooves on the wheel, down underneath the wheel. So now, when I move these pedals, not only does the wheel move, but that thing up there flies. And you see why it's called a flyer, because it goes very, very fast. Now you will notice, remember I spent all that time and energy putting that lead string through here, but when I started moving the pedals, it pulled that brown string up and onto there. Let me see if I can get it to do it again. If the tension on your spinning wheel is too loose, then the spinning wheel won't suck the thread in. It'll spin it, but it won't suck it in and collect it on the spool. So we adjust this tension here to make this wheel and this wheel have to spin at different speeds. It's physics, it's complicated, and it's old-timey stuff. How anybody ever figured this out, I will never know. But let me see if I can re-thread this one-handed so you can get a better sense of what it looks like. I am going to attempt one-handed. Okay, let's see. Ooh, I did it. Right, okay. See, it comes through there. Yeah. You see how just a little bit of movement and it pulls it pulls it in. The thing is I can pull it back out too, but it pulls it in. And so the thread starts out down here at the bottom. That's when I'm plying. To ply is to take two really, because when you spin yarn, when you spin wool, it becomes this very thin yarn that we call a single. This is one piece of that galaxy blue or whatever it was called with the sparkling threads in it. I spun that fleece up into this blue yarn, making a single on this spool, and there were singles on that spool. Then I take those two spools and I spin them together and you get this. You can see the twist in this yarn. If you'll notice, that's two threads twisted together. And this is a single. Some of it is twisted back on itself. Let it focus. So that is basically a single. To make this yarn stay twisted together, I put it on a contraption that sort of keeps it from getting all tangled up, and I soak it in hot water for about 15-20 minutes, and then I swing it dry in a spinner, not a spinning wheel, just like a salad spinner. It's literally a salad spinner. And then I hang it to dry overnight. In this particular case, I'm not going to process the yarn because when you soak it in hot water and then let it dry, it kind of shrinks a little bit and it mats a little bit to the ply. You know, you've seen felt before, how the fibers of felt are sort of all matted together. When you soak this yarn in hot water and then spin it dry and then hang it out to dry, the yarn will sort of mat together, stick together a little bit, so you can use it just like you would any commercial yarn. It also shrinks it a tiny bit. I'm going to wait until this yarn is in a project, and then I'm going to shrink it. I just prefer it that way. It's a matter of personal preference. I think I have some unspun fleece, either upstairs or downstairs. You guys have seen me spin a lot lately, but I'm going to show you, now that you know how to thread a spinning wheel, sort of, so you know the pedals. I mean, you know the parts. These are the treadles. I got yarn all over the place. These are the treadles. I don't know what that's called. This whole section is called the mother of all. Here's our flyer, here's our whirl, and here's our wheel. This hole right here is the orifice. This is the orifice hook, and the orifice hook rests there. This spinning wheel has a brake band that includes Scotch tension. That's what this little knob is. You see the extra string there. But the string that goes down and goes up across the top of the whirl, that is my Scotch tension. On the other side of the spinning wheel, there is a just a little hook and eye with a spring attached to it. And the spring there that's my brake band. And then as the spool fills up, and I'm not doing it one-handed, I can slide these back and forth so that it fills up the yarn here, and then, you know, it fills up more. Like if a spot here gets too full, then I just slide this down a little bit and fill up the next portion. I'm gonna grab, I think I have some white wool. Let's see if we can spin a little bit tonight before we go to bed, shall we? Let's see, hang on. Okay, so I'm trying to get myself set up here. This is plain undyed fiber. This actually happens to be alpaca. When you buy fiber, in my case on Etsy, or from a farmer who is a fiber farmer, this is what it looks like. It's the hair of an animal that's been washed, and all, because animals, sheep, alpaca, whatever, they roll around in the dirt. Sometimes you find bits of hay or whatever, but it gets washed. There's a whole process. There's a million YouTube videos that explain it. It gets washed and combed. Sometimes it gets dyed. This is natural undyed. So this came from a white animal, in this case, a white alpaca. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling it out a little bit so that it's not all bunched up and it's easier to spin. Tighten my tension down a little bit here. Let's see. Ooh, that is very loose tension. Okay, that looks good. Now what I'm gonna do, this is how the very, very start. And I don't know what my tension is gonna be like here for this spin. I hope you can see everything. Is there room for my wheel to spin? Let's move that back a little bit. So I fold the fleece over that little starter thread, pull it out a little bit, I get my wheel going, and then I'm working it with my feet, and I'm feeding it in. And you see where it's going from being fluffy behind my hands. As I move my feet, I'm pinching it off to control how quickly it goes into onto the spool. So it goes from being fluff to being yarn, just that simple. And I could treadle really fast, I guess, and work up a sweat. It also kind of burns my fingers if it goes too fast. It's like, you know, a yarn burn, I guess. But I like to treadle nice and slow, even and relaxing. And if you'll notice, if you look at that spool, it's starting to fill up on the spool. And when I get to the end of my piece of yarn, now I just have, my piece of fluff, I just have this hanging here. You notice right there, the yarn has started to fill up. Well, now I need to grab some more fluff to spin. So in my case, I'm going to take my piece of unspun fluff and stick it in the hole for the orifice hook. Let that rest there so it doesn't come unspun. And then I'm going to start to pull a little bit of this out, a little more. All of this looks really, really easy, and it is once you know how to do it. But for the longest time, I was spinning and spinning and spinning, and I could not get my spun fleece to go up on my spool. Remember, I taught myself during the pandemic when somebody was doing like a spring cleaning, and she gave me her spinning wheel. And so I spent that entire weekend watching YouTube videos, trying to figure out how to, I was like, I've got to figure out how to make this wheel work. And I worked at it and worked at it, and I ended up spinning this really, really fat yarn that I was so thrilled to be able to spin anything. And then over time, I got to the point where I could spin things thinner and thinner, so that they were really usable for me. And so I didn't show you how I joined those two pieces together, so maybe I will now. So look, right? Just fluff hanging, already spun piece of yarn. I simply lay the unspun fluff on top of the spun fluff and spin it and let the spinning wheel take it up, joined it together. And then I just keep pinching off the wool so that the spun yarn is in front of my fingers and the unspun yarn is behind that pinch. And people have all different techniques that they use to get their yarn, and there's twists per inch and all of that if you want to be real perfectionistic about it. I just do this as a hobby and for fun. I am not at all perfectionistic about it. But look, you and I made yarn together. We'll do a little bit more spinning, and then I have to go get myself ready for bed. Just pull this out a little bit. And just so you know, there are a million spinning videos on YouTube. There's a lady, the lady that I learned to spin from on YouTube is named Jillian Eve, Jillianeve. And she's very sweet and very nice and patient, and she has a bunch of different kind of spinning wheels. And I just sat and watched her videos over and over until they made sense to me. And she explained all these super technical things that I still don't entirely understand. But I got the concepts down, and it's been, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, and I spin a lot. I also spend a lot because fleece, even if you get it on sale, it's not super cheap. And also, quiet as it's kept, I'm allergic to wool. I am also allergic to alpaca. That does not keep me from spinning it. So I spin it, and then I make it into things that I don't wear against my body. I've made a lot of mittens though. Now this is what it looks like when I don't sort of pull it out first. You know, before I was pulling it out so that it got long and skinny. If I don't pull it out, I could still spin it. Depending on the wool, it makes a thicker yarn. It doesn't come off, you know, it doesn't come off like my little bundle of yarn back here as easy. Some people, like I do a short draw, which is just like little hand movements. Some people do a long draw where they spin out really far. That's not what I do. But it's just a matter of personal preference. There are people who like to spin very exacting yarns, so that they could use them in for very particular purposes. I don't care about any of that. I just do it for relaxation and fun. It's just a hobby. It doesn't need to make money. It doesn't need to be professional. It just needs to be relaxing. Now, if I've been spinning all of this to the right, and so as I spin, every time I start spinning it, you notice our little spool is filling up. Every time I start spinning, I always start spinning to the right, which is referred to as, one way is S and the other way is Z. I don't remember which is which. If I wanted to ply this yarn, I would take, let's see, I'll give you an example of how plying works. I would take a yarn from this spool and a yarn from this spool, and I would fold them together. I always spin my yarn to the right, but then when I want to ply it, I would spin it the opposite direction. I would spin it to the left. I think I spin S and I ply in Z, but I could totally have that backwards. I don't know, because it doesn't matter at all to me. All right, thank you for attending my really janky tour of my spinning wheel, but now you have an idea of how it works. And maybe you'll go watch some spinning videos. Listen, maybe you'll become a spinner. You'll be like, honey, that's it. I'm buying a spinning wheel. Here's a pro tip. If you go on Facebook Marketplace, you could probably find one fairly cheap if you really want to get into spinning. Lots of people start and then go, whatever, it's not for me. Personally, I love it. This spinning wheel that I'm spinning on now costs about $500, brand new. You can buy used spinning wheels on Ravelry, the knitting website. This is sort of like a inexpensive spinning wheel. Some of them cost a couple of $1,000s. Average for a really nice one is around $1,000, like $700 to $900. I have $500 spinning wheel money. I don't have $700 to $900 spinning wheel money. Ooh, okay. It stopped for me for a minute. I don't know at what point it stopped, but this is a mid-grade spinning wheel at about $500. I also got it on sale. But you can usually find some spinning wheels, particularly for a beginner. Don't buy new, buy used, because people usually keep their spinning wheels really nice. And you can get them at thrift stores, antique stores, garage sales, things like that, particularly from old people or old spinners, I guess, for a couple $100. There's one in my neighborhood I know for sale for $125, but it's single treadle and I like double because of my knees. Otherwise, you can just keep randomly watching me spin, and that's fine too. So I'm gonna get ready for bed. Wait, my face is in here. I am a person. I do exist. For anybody watching this for the first time, this is actually a true crime channel having nothing to do with spinning, but I have lots of crafty hobbies. All right, have a good night.